1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
I've been privileged to know Stan Musial for 30 years. I've known him in States. I've known him in Greece, in Italy, in Poland, in a wide variety of situations. Airplanes. I've known him in the ballparks. And he is an almost epic case. Now, I can assure the listener of this, that what you see is what you get.
The man. St. Louis Cardinals, 1941, 1963. Holds many National League records. Among them, games played, 3,026. At bat, 10,972 times. 3,630 hits. Most runs scored, 1,949. Most runs batted in, 1,951. Total bases, 6,134. Led National League in total bases 6 years. Slugging percentage, 6 years. Most valuable player, 1943, 1946, 1948. Lifetime batting average, .331. I can only be describing one man, Stan Musial.
Times were tough when we were young. We had a great time. The Musials were poor people then, like so many of our friends around North Pennsylvania. But I never felt like I wanted for anything because I had a baseball. My first toy was a baseball. Of course, my mother's here today, and she's been in my corner all the way.
Sonora, Pennsylvania, the Depression. Stan Musial got his first baseball. He didn't catch a foul ball in the seats or out in the bleachers somewhere during practice. His mother made the baseball for him. Boy, did she start something.
I always had a ball or bat around. No matter how tough things were in the early days, my mother saw that I had a bat and a ball around.
Do you remember that he had a baseball and bat at a young age?
Oh, yeah, sure. I got into baseball.
A lot of people say that Stan, who is one of the most durable players that ever played baseball, got his strength and got his durability from you. Do you think so?
Yes, sir, because I played ball with him.
You played ball with him?
Yes, sir, in a yard.
And Joe Barbeau used to play with
yes.
you?
Yes, that's right.
He was baseball hungry. He wanted to play ball. He would rather play ball than eat. I believe his mother time and time and again would moan that he was never home to eat. He's always out playing ball.
My father always took us to Palmer Park in Donora to see the game on Sunday. See what were they? Not Little League, they were American Legion teams. And he was the water boy on the American Legion team, and I was just 14 years old.
This fellow here, Joe Barbaro, he was manager of that team, and I was a water boy. So one Sunday afternoon that Lil's talking about, why the regular pitcher got knocked out early and they were short of pitchers, so they put me in.
There was this man that said, look at this. They're putting this 14-year-old boy to pitch.
I think I struck out about 13 guys in 6 innings, and I did very well. So this team was the Zinc Works team in Denora. These fellows are all working down there. They're all 20, 21, and I was only about 14. After that one game, that they voted me into the association.
Because I was 14, I looked at him. So it was inevitable that we were going to see each other, be together.
In those years, immigrants had a tough time. In Detroit, there was a lot of unemployment. In Chicago, there was unemployment. Pennsylvania coal fields were in terrible shape. And I remember that in those years, baseball was one of the avenues whereby the children of immigrants could make a living.
You know, in high school, he hit very well. And he also pitched, and he was on the all-star team.
I had a good knack of hitting the ball to the opposite field. I learned that in high school, and in my younger days, rather. We played in a field that had a short right field, and there was a hill over there. We only had one ball. If you hit the ball over the field, why, the guy would take 5 minutes to get the ball and hold up the game. Whereas in left field, we had a hill, and a grade. And you would hit the ball against this grade, and the ball would be in play. You hit a double or a single. And I was able to do that. I learned how to hit to the opposite field when I was young. He hit a ball from here. Was home plate in those days. They played baseball here.
Right here.
Right here. And there was a track, as you see, way out there, a quarter-mile track, and that ball hit on one bounce and hit that fence. I believe it was the longest ball was ever hit on this field. So, I mean, he was a kind of a kid, I guess. He liked to win. I was a fairly good basketball player, and my basketball coaches knew the coach of Pitt, and they said, "Yeah, I could have a scholarship to Pitt when I'm ready." And my father heard about this, and he wanted me to go to college because the scholarship back in the 30s was very valuable.
Remember you told the story about your mother telling to your father the reason he came to this country because it was a free country, and you could be free on what you want to do in life.
Cardinal Scott wanted to sign me, and he came up to our house 3 times, and my dad wouldn't want to sign, so I finally talked to my mother. I said, Mom, see if you can get Dad to sign my contract, because I was only about 17. Finally, he consented, but he was begrudgingly, he consented.
So many of the players came from the little towns in the South. They didn't come from the big colleges like football players. They didn't come from the universities. Many of them didn't go to school even. Many didn't graduate from high school. There was a possibility to get to the big leagues on just what you had. And Stan exemplified that.
The story of him as a ball player, it's a young guy, went 3 years in the minor leagues. Never got above Class D. Never got above $65 a month salary.
I was playing down in Daytona Beach, Florida, and our manager, Dickie Kerr, down there, back in the 40s. I played 120 games in the outfield when I wasn't pitching, so that gave me a lot of good experience in the outfield.
I was expecting our first child then, and they were so very nice. Pep and Dick did not have any children, and so they just adopted us as their kids. And they took us into their home, and she helped me, and Dickie Kerr helped Stan with all his pitching.
About that time, late in the season, I hurt my arm. I fell on a diving for a ball, hurt my shoulder, and of course I couldn't throw anymore. That kind of hurt my good arm.
And so he called me one day, and he was sort of despondent, and he says, I might have to come and work in the Denora mills. And I told my father that, and he got on the phone. And he says, "Now you just go ahead and keep playing baseball, because I'll take care of Lil and Dick here, and don't worry about. Just keep on playing baseball."
He was assigned as a batting practice pitcher for the Columbus, Ohio club in spring training at Hollywood, Florida, in the spring of 1941. And there is his first time that I ever saw him to be impressed with his ability as a hitter. Barney Schotten was known, an old player here and later a manager for me, and later a manager at Brooklyn, won a pennant. He was the manager of the Columbus Club, and at breakfast, and that morning when I occasion to visit in the Columbus Club in Hollywood, Florida, he said to me, "Do you know about a batsman by the name of Musial?" I said, "I never heard of him. I know a pitcher, a left-hand pitcher." He said, "Sent here to pitch to your hitters for practice." He said, "I want to show you where he hit a ball in this park out here." And that morning, when we went out to the field, he showed me where he'd hit the ball on the bank of the railroad in right center over the fence. And I asked him, I said, "Did you see him hit it?" And he said, he did. I said, "If you hadn't seen it, you would hardly believe it." I said, "I wouldn't." Well, I said, "If you don't mind, I won't either."
Well, the Cardinals had me down listed as a pitcher, you know, and of course the very next season they sent me to Springfield, Missouri as an outfielder for the first time. It was Class C.
He hit 379 in that league and about 100% extra bases. And after he'd played those 70-odd games, I went down to see him 2 different times. And it was arranged to send him jump all the B's and A's and double A's to the Rochester in the International League. He went to Rochester in the International League, and he played 54 games, International League. He had led the Springfield League. He now led the International League, and I was so intrigued with the fella, with his kaleidoscopic advance, and startlingly so, and so sensational, extra base hits galore. I brought him into St. Louis in the fall of 1941 at the end of the season. He played 12 games, the last 12 games of the season with the Cardinals, and he led this league.
All of which proves that maybe if he hadn't hurt his arm, nobody had been smart enough to know the kind of a budding great hitter they had. But Branch Rickey knew, and Branch Rickey, because Musial had a peculiar style, you know.
That preliminary move that he's got is a fraud. It's not true. No batter's correctness in form is determined by his preliminary stats. When the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, that is the time when you take a picture of a batsman to get his form. And this double-decked position that Stanley gets his frame into before the ball is pitched doesn't mean a thing. If you want to see a proper stride, short stride, a level sweep, bat full back, a coin wouldn't drop off the end of the bat before it starts forward. There are no two movements. There's no hitch. He is ideal in form as well as courage.
Branch Rickey was smart enough to say, he said, "I want this kid to play the outfield. We know he can hit, and I don't want any coach to talk to him. I don't want anybody to talk to him about how to hit. He's got his own style, let him alone." And I will say that for Mr. Rickey. Maybe he was responsible for that great career because nobody told Stan Musial how to hit.
Had a great year in 41. It was from Class C to AAA to the majors all in 1 year. So that was a fantastic jump, and I enjoyed it.
That year we ended up with $128 in the bank.
In 1942, when I went down to spring training with the Cardinals, everybody expected me to continue